Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, net sirs, peasants, vassals. I'm Useful Idiot. Welcome. And today I want to talk about what I consider the staggering hypocrisy that the Democrats show now. And this isn't about supporting or not supporting Trump. This is just an observation. As I mentioned in a lot of my videos, I know neither support the Democrats or the Republicans. I don't like either status quo party. And right now, it's very strange for me to see the right have the moral high ground. And what I mean about this hypocrisy, of course, we have a lot of history of hypocrisy in Washington, D.C. And as I always say, hypocrisy is the coin of the realm. It's just endless hypocrisy with most of the politicians on both the left and right. But we're living in an era now where the hypocrisy of the left is just staggering. And a good example of that is they're so outraged by the gerrymandering efforts going on in Texas and forget about the fact that we've had decades of Democrats supporting gerrymandering when it supports their side. And then we see this now too with the government shutdown, as Republicans have pointed out. The Democrats were always about keeping a clean bill and keeping the government open, and they did it 13 times under Biden. And now they want to attach a bunch of pork and their own pet projects to this new legislation to keep the government open. So now we have a government shutdown. And some of the other areas that the hypocrisy is really bad is, of course, we see the Democrats outraged by the fact that Trump is taking these unilateral actions in Venezuela and other military actions around the world, including the attack on Iran, and talking about the fact that Trump is bypassing Congress. And yet we have a history of Democrats bypassing Congress for their own little pet wars, including Obama, who had a number of wars, including the debacle in Libya, and then also the actions in Syria, where we got promised time and time again there'd be no boots on the ground. And of course, it turns out we have boots on the ground. Now we occupy a fifth of the country. And then we also have the hypocrisy about censorship and freedom of speech. And the newest example of that, of course, the Jimmy Kimmel um, event. And the Democrats were all for all the conservatives being silenced during the Biden years. And in fact, we now have direct evidence that the Biden administration, or whoever was running the government at the time, went around and bullied all the social media networks to censor conservatives, and have a lot of people, including Trump, kicked off some of the social media. And then we find out that all these social media giants were actively censoring social media. In fact, YouTube came out now, made an apology, and offered to reinstate all the conservatives that they censored and removed from YouTube over the years of the Biden administration, which of course is too little too late. All those people already lost their channels, and they're not going to be able to recoup. But it's just kind of funny how censorship and free speech wasn't an issue with the Democrats when they were censoring conservatives over the last 4 years, and even before that, during the first Trump administration. And then we also have them complaining about the weaponization of the Department of Justice now to go after James Comey and others. And the 4 years of the first Trump administration and the 4 years of the Biden administration, we saw nothing but the liberal weaponization of the Department of Justice for all their pet causes. And then now we find out a lot of those things like Russiagate were just hoaxes, and they were orchestrated by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. And so this selective outrage that Democrats have now about the weaponization of the Department of Justice, once again, is a moot point and total hypocrisy. Then we have the hypocrisy of them complaining about the economy right now. And there's a lot of weak spots in the economy right now, and there's been a struggle to keep inflation down. But the Democrats did nothing but 4 years of talking about how great the Biden administration was and how the Biden economy was so strong, and they bragged about all the jobs they were creating, which all turned out to be a hoax, and talking and trying to bypass the whole idea of inflation. Janet Yellen was calling it transitory, and Democrats certainly weren't going after the Biden administration for the incredible inflation caused by the rampant spending. But they're complaining now that Trump isn't getting inflation down fast enough. And then, of course, one of my big ones about current liberal hypocrisy is this political violence we're seeing, including the dramatic assassination of Charlie Kirk. And now we have the Democrats claiming it's Trump's rhetoric, it's the Republicans' rhetoric that caused this environment of political violence. And that's not true at all. It's the fact that liberal politicians and the media have been using the most inflammatory rhetoric and talking about Trump and the Republicans being a threat to democracy, and Trump is Hitler, they're a bunch of fascists. And numerous occasions we have them documented of them suggesting that something dramatic should be done to get rid of Trump. And this kind of rhetoric we've been hearing for almost a decade now, and it's outrageous. And now they have the nerve to just dig their heels in and say, yeah, this environment where 56% of Democrats think political violence is justified, and the social media is just epidemic with people calling for Republicans and Trump to be killed. Um, and now they completely disavow that and say that it's the rhetoric of the right that is the problem, which is preposterous. So all this kind of hypocrisy is ridiculous, and I can say I've never really seen it at this level, and it's kind of a component of Washington D.C. that's always been with us. It's just the nature of politicians. But what we're seeing right now is just beyond outrageous. And as a matter of fact, any one of you can go out there and peruse Facebook, and you look around, and anybody that's liberal is always talking about Trump being shot. I've seen hundreds of posts like that, and I find it really intriguing that no conservatives ever called for Biden to be assassinated or AOC to be assassinated or think that political violence is okay. The political violence right now is coming from the left, and once again the left is just putting their head in the sand like an ostrich, ignoring the 800-pound gorilla in the room, that it's coming from the left, and their hypocrisy is staggering. And so once again, I have to point out that it's not so much that I'm supporting Trump. I'm just looking at the reality of this situation. And I'm nearly 70 now, and I got raised thinking the liberals were the good guys, and for a lot of my life I felt like they were the good guys and they had the moral high ground. And I never thought in my lifetime I'd see we get to the point now where the mass psychosis of the liberal base and the unbelievable hypocrisy of the leaders on the left, and this crazy social engineering experiment they tried the last 4 years. It's just unbelievable. I never in my lifetime thought I would see the Democrats become what they are now. Just a complete horror and a cancer on this country, and they better turn things around or they're never going to get the White House or Congress again. I'm a useful idiot, don't you be one too.